Alhamdulillah.
All praise is due to Allah. He raised the rank of those who obey Him. Allah deserves abundant praise and mention. He has opened the gates of His bounty to His obedient servants. I testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah alone without any partner. And I testify that Muhammad is Allah's worshipping servant and messenger. May Allah grant commendation, protection, and blessings to His messenger, as well as to the messenger's family, companions, and followers. My dear audience, I counsel all of you to observe taqwa of Allah by fulfilling His commands and avoiding His prohibitions. You must observe taqwa of Allah and implore Allah to grant all of you His mercy. When a person observes taqwa of Allah, Allah will forgive that person's misdeeds and grant him a multiplied reward. Dear people of Iman, those who accept and comply with the truth from Allah, the life of people in this world is limited, and its days are numbered. What a sweet and short time ago it was when we received the happy news of Ramadan's arrival. But today all of that has become a thing of the past and a lesson to learn from. We say about Ramadan, you were indeed a month of fasting, prayer, and angels descending with security. You stayed with us and produced much joy. You brought us many good things, then you turned from us and departed. O Allah, you deserve all praise for letting us witness that month and reach its end. O Allah, we beseech you to accept our fasting and prayers. We further beseech you to let us reach the next Ramadan. Preserve it for us and preserve us for it. My dear audience, among people, there are those who tasted during Ramadan what it means to obey Allah, and their hearts were attached to the mosques and the congregation. But it is not long before they end up returning to heedlessness and wastefulness afterwards. Pay attention to this. For people who worship Ramadan, Ramadan is over. But for people who worship Allah, Allah is ever living, and He does not die. Servants of Allah, the indicator of acceptance is remaining consistent in worship, and the indicator of rejection is returning to what one is accustomed to. Allah the Most Exalted said, if only they would obey Allah as they are being advised to do, that would be best for them and most effective in making them steadfast. If only they obeyed us, we would most surely grant them from ourselves an immense reward, and we would most certainly guide them to a straight path, enable them to follow it, and make them steadfast in adhering to it. Whatever good a person attained in Ramadan must be preserved, and whatever bad he avoided in it must not be returned to. Whenever a person continues to fast by abstaining from the reprehensible, all of his months would be ones of fasting. Dear Muslims, the gates to goodness are open wide, but where are those who seek to enter? And its fountains are available to be drawn from, but where are those who take from them? Allah the Most Exalted said, therefore strive to be foremost in performing righteous deeds. In addition, the Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, said that Allah the Most Exalted stated, my worshipping servant does not draw nearer to me by way of anything more beloved to me than what I have made obligatory for him. And my worshipping servant continues drawing nearer to me by way of the supererogatory until I love him. When I love him, I am his hearing with which he hears, his sight with which he sees, his hand with which he grasps, and his leg with which he walks. And if he asks of me, I would most certainly give to him. And if he seeks refuge with me, I would most certainly grant him refuge. Prayer is the main support of a person's Islam, and it comes at the head of one's acts of worship. It refines one's character, purifies one's soul, and trains one's body. The Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, said, each of the 5 daily prayers, each Friday prayer, and each Ramadan is a means to being forgiven for what occurred between it and the previous one, so long as the major sins are avoided. This is collected by Muslim. When a person performs supererogatory prayers, a house for him is built in paradise. The Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, said, every Muslim servant of Allah who performs 12 units of supererogatory prayer for Allah each day, other than the obligatory units of prayer, would undoubtedly have Allah build for him a house in paradise. This was collected by Muslim. Worshipping Allah at night and praying during the night are acts that are prescribed throughout all nights of the year, not just in Ramadan. The Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, said, the most virtuous prayers after the obligatory ones are those performed at night. This was collected by Muslim. Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, may Allah be pleased with him, had said that the Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, would pray at night until cracks appeared on his 2 feet or his 2 shins. And when he was asked why he did so, he replied, should I not be a grateful worshipping servant? This is collected by Bukhari and Muslim. Fasting is among the highest ranking acts of worship and the ones that yield greatest reward. In a hadith Qudsi, Allah stated, all deeds a person performs are for himself except for fasting. It is for me, and I am the one who gives the recompense for it. Something that you are encouraged to do after fasting Ramadan is to fast 6 days of Shawwal. When a person does that, it is as though he fasted the entire year. This was authentically narrated from the Prophet of Guidance, may Allah grant him commendation and protection. Thawban, may Allah be pleased with him, stated, I heard Allah's Messenger, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, say, Allah made one righteous deed merit the reward of 10. Thus, fasting 1 month yields the reward for 10 months, and another 6 days after concluding the month of fasting completes the reward for an entire year. This is collected by Nasa'i and Ibn Majah. Other types of encouraged fasting are fasting 3 days each month, fasting Mondays and Thursdays, fasting in the day of Arafah, fasting in the month of Muharram, and fasting in the month of Sha'ban. As for the Quran, it is the speech of Allah, the best and most truthful of speech. It is a fountain of guidance, a source of mercy, and a source of light. When a person reads and follows that speech, it is as though he's addressing Allah, and such a person is promised immense rewards and a fine outcome. Allah the Most Exalted said, indeed, those who read and follow the book of Allah, establish obligatory prayer, and spend out of what we have provided for them, and they do that in private and public, hope to attain from their trade a gain that will not perish. They do those things so that Allah would give them their rewards in full and grant them even more out of His bounty. Truly, He is most forgiving, one who continually accepts deeds that are small and gives a plentiful recompense for them. The Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, had said, read the Quran because it will certainly come forth on the day of resurrection as an intercessor for those who remained in its company. This was collected by Muslim. The Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, also said, a person of Iman, someone who accepts the truth from Allah and complies with it, who reads the Quran is like a citron. Its fragrance is pleasant and its flavor is also pleasant. And a person of Iman who does not read the Quran is like a date. It has no fragrance, but its flavor is sweet. Deeds we perform are not limited to what has passed. Rather, Allah has prescribed numerous forms of worship, and He made acts of obedience many so that His servants would devote attention to them and desire to be engaged in them. Thus, Allah's blessings to us are tremendous indeed, and His kindness to us is unmistakably apparent. I say this much and I implore Allah to forgive myself as well as all of you. Thus you should also seek his forgiveness. He is certainly the most forgiving, the bestower of mercy. All praise is due to Allah. I testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah alone, without any partner. And I testify that Muhammad is Allah's worshipping servant and messenger. May Allah grant his messenger commendation, protection, and blessings, and may Allah do the same for the messenger's family, companions, and followers. Servants of Allah, you must continue to observe taqwa of Allah by fulfilling his commands and avoiding his prohibitions. You must also realize that small deeds performed constantly are better than large deeds that are discontinued. The Prophet, may Allah grant him commendation and protection, said, "The most beloved deeds to Allah are the ones that remain constant, even if relatively small." This is collected by Bukhari and Muslim. The deeds that are sincere and correct are the ones that are accepted. When a person's deeds lack one or both of those traits, he will be taken into account for that. Allah the Most Exalted said, "Therefore, if an individual hopes to meet his Lord, he must perform righteous deeds, and he must not ascribe anything whatsoever as a partner to his Lord when worshipping him." Allah the Most Exalted, who is perfect in every way, is most generous, and one who continually accepts deeds that are small and gives a plentiful recompense for them. In this world, he recompenses his servants for their deeds by granting them happiness in their hearts, acceptance of the truth, strength in their souls, and protection against shaitan. And in the hereafter, he recompenses them with mercy, pardon, being pleased with them, and admitting them to the gardens of paradise. He said, "If anyone, whether male or female, performs righteous deeds while having sound beliefs, we will certainly grant them a fine life in this world, and we will certainly reward them in the hereafter according to the best of their deeds." In conclusion, invoke Allah's commendation and protection for his messenger whom he sent to people as a mercy and a blessing. Allah grant commendation, protection, and blessings to your messenger, as well as to your messenger's esteemed, immaculate family, his wives who were the mothers of the people of Iman. And O Allah, we implore you to be pleased with your messengers for successors and leading the Ummah, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. We also implore you to be pleased with all of your messenger's companions and all who continue following their path. O Allah, we beseech you by your favor to be pleased with us along with them. O Allah, grant strength to Islam and those who submit to you in Islam. O Allah, protect the lands of your religion and grant your support to your servants who accept and comply with the truth from you. And the last of our prayers is that all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all creation.